So the thirst. Question the first, if I'm quoting Dan Devine from Divine Intervention. Not like I'm a big fan or anything. How concerned should the Bucks be about Giannis' age and postseason history? He will turn 30 in December, heading into year 12, which that means I'm heading into year 12, and that's crazy. Injuries sunk the Bucks in the playoffs the last 2 seasons. They've won 1 playoff series in 3 years since their title run. So, Dan, how concerned should the Bucks be about Giannis' age and postseason injury history? You have about 2.5 minutes. Go.
Moderately, but also like there's nothing you can do. Like this is death is the high cost of living. It's what's on the other side of this. Like you have a lightning bolt that's like the magic lottery ticket that fell into your lap, and you have built everything around this guy. He literally saved your franchise. He delivered you to the promised land. You pay him as much money as humanly possible for as long as you possibly can do it, and you say thank you for the privilege to do it. Like that Giannis has now several postseasons in a row experienced injuries or in several of the last, I think it was 3 of the last 4 years, injuries in a postseason setting, and been unable to finish series, been unable to even participate this year. It's a problem because everything is built around him. Damian Lillard and Chris Middleton on their own are not a championship contending core with Brook Lopez and the sort of thin roster around it. Giannis needs to be the centerpiece that everything revolves around. But you are committed to that, and you will remain committed as long as you need to. This is what you sign up for, and you're grateful for having the opportunity, because the last time you had one of these guys, it was Kareem 50 years ago. They don't come around that often. So hang on to him. Recognize your saints and hang on to him for as long as humanly possible.
There's definitely going to be, Stephen A. Smith's been saying it all year that the Bucks should trade Dame. Dame wants out of Milwaukee, blah, blah, blah. I think there's going to be calls for that as long as Giannis is there, because they continue on a similar Joel Embiid, Philadelphia 76ers type postseason run after the title, because you get that glimpse, you get that taste. Like I had the thought in that one little moment of daylight where Indy was pulling the second quarter, rope away from the Knicks. I was like, man, if the Pacers win this, if Jalen Brunson's hurt, if they make the conference finals, what are the ramifications there? You're going to have to pay all these guys, blah, blah, blah. That is how this stuff, and then the expectations are there. So you win the title, and you're supposed to be more than this for sure. But to everything you said, I think this group is pretty locked in. Milwaukee and John Horst has definitely been a name that people have been wondering about for the Pistons. He's from the area. I believe he was part of that organization at one point in time. I don't have anything further to say at this point, but it just, as of my latest calls around the league this week, it does seem like that is not going to be something to keep keeping an eye on. But then again, Monty Williams turned down the job 17 times or whatever before the check was finally big enough for him to take it. So I'm not ready to end any name on this situation and story, but the impression right now is that Horst seems to be along for the ride in Milwaukee. I've been told that for a little while, that this guy is super committed to this build, and he's got a whole front office that treat this guy like a creative rock star, and he kind of has been to some degree turning lemons into lemonade, or whatever analogy you want to use for taking whatever draft capital you have left and Grayson Allen and Drew Holiday and deciding we need to get someone who's one of the baddest half-court postseason playmakers possible. And you get Dame Lillard, who showed exactly why you get him in game 1 of the Pacers. And Giannis's health obviously is the reason why they were not able to contend, which is why this question is being posed, John. I get it. But this team seems along for this ride in particular. I don't know this next thing I'm going to say to be true, but if there's anything that I think the Bucks would be concerned by, and someone with an injury history, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear that Milwaukee's looking at things for Chris Middleton this summer. I'm not reporting that. I'm just saying, knowing past history and knowing some of the types of players that are going to be available, let's say the Magic, for example, strike out on all these guards that they're being linked to. He's someone who has a lot of history with, the former Bucks people that are in that organization. So that's something that I think would be possible, but not Giannis.
And also just contractually, like every core member, Giannis, Dame, Middleton, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, like those guys are all under contract, fully guaranteed for next season, right? But Giannis has an extension going beyond, there's several years beyond. Dame Lillard's extension goes beyond. Chris Middleton has a player option in 2025-26. So like if you were going to move on from one of those guys and you wanted to keep your Giannis Dame window open another year, where can you move around it? Brook Lopez is going to be is slated for unrestricted free agency in 25-26. Middleton has the player option for 25-26. Bobby Portis player option 25-26. Connaughton player option 25-26. So that feels like your sort of natural pivot point heading into that year. Those sorts of deadlines lead to action in advance of them, which would be this coming season. So could certainly see that, but could also absolutely see like if you are John Horst and you are sticking around and you are that front office who was part of building this championship team, saying like, we're going to give this core that gave us this championship, this core 4 guys, with Bobby Portis added into there, Connaughton to some degree maybe added into there, like give those guys, the chance to get one more healthy run at it and see what it looks like. Because when they had their main 4 guys on their roster, they were, a wrecking crew this season. They still were it was like 14 or 15 points per 100 possessions. They were outscoring teams by like, it still looked good. And Middleton by the end of the year, by the end of the postseason series was actually like, as healthy as he's been in a while and producing at a superstar kind of level. If you get everybody healthy and on the same page start next season, maybe those expectations that you had coming into this year, you're able to actually fulfill them.